everyone. Welcome to Rated MA. If you are new to our channel, let us introduce ourselves real quick. My name is Allie. I am a screenwriter with a master's degree in screenwriting. I also have a bachelor's degree in audio and video production, and I currently work as a podcast editor for Spotify.
And I'm Meg. Hello. And I have a bachelor's degree in film production with an emphasis in cinematography. I currently work at a post production house here in Los Angeles.
Meg and I just started this reaction channel not that long ago when you guys are seeing this. We just recently finished our Andor reactions and had such a great time with that. We decided to jump into this new series. Today we're going to be watching Arcane. This is episode 1 of season 1. This episode is called Welcome to the Playground. Just a little bit of background. I have seen season 1 of Arcane before. Meg, you've seen bits of it, or have you seen the whole thing?
I've seen bits of it. I did not quite make it to the finale of season 1. I think I just kind of dropped off just because life got busy after it first came out. But I would say that's about it. I do remember some things.
Okay. So that's good to know. Know bits of season 2. I know how the show ends and I know the fates of certain characters, but I have not actually sat and watched season 2. So season 1 will not be a first time watch for me or Meg necessarily, although I'm sure more details will come to light as we go through this. But Meg and I are very excited to jump into this. This is a show I have loved since its inception. When I was in film school getting my degree, my MFA for screenwriting, this show came out, and me and all of my fellow screenwriting students actually got together and talked about the show right after the fact. Anyway, regardless, Meg and I are very excited to get into this today. If you are familiar with our channel, if you have seen us before and you did follow us over from Andor, you will notice that we did not do rock, paper, scissors. That is normally something that Meg and I did to determine who was going to host the episode, but we are currently starting 2 series. If you've seen our channel during this week, you would have seen The Legend of Vox Machina, which is what these shirts are for. We're both wearing our D&D shirts today. Meg will be hosting Legend of Vox Machina. I will be hosting Arcane. So if you see me here on Fridays, I will be doing the Arcane reactions. Meg will be hosting the Vox Machina reactions. Just wanted to get that out of the way in case anyone was a little confused. But without any further ado, Meg, are you excited to jump into our first new series?
I am very excited. Like you said, you were drawn into the show. I was drawn into the show for other reasons. I was really drawn to it because I love video games, and so this is based off of League of Legends. So this is very, very exciting and interesting, and I'm very glad to because this will pretty much be like a new watch for me. So almost like a first time watch because I remember some things, but not much. But I'm very excited.
Okay. Well, without any further ado, let's jump into the episode.
I'm ready for Powder's life to get fucked up again. Let's go.
My girl Powder.
Oh. Whenever there's a kid just singing, it's so terrifying.
It's so ominous.
I can't even imagine seeing something like that as a child.
I know. I don't know how old they're supposed to be in this scene. I mean, Vi has to be because this is Vi and Powder.
Yeah. Vi probably is like a teen.
10 or 12 maybe, I think. And then Powder is 8, 6.
I'm
I
thinking
actually have
like
no idea.
I'm thinking she's like Powder's like 6 and Vi is gonna be like 12, 13.
Yeah, I don't know how much older. Forgive me, guys. It's been a while since I've seen the first season. I don't remember how much older Vi is than Powder. I just know that this is Vi, of course. I know that Vi is the older sister and Powder is the younger sister. And that was their mom that they just showed. Mom died. It's really hard to tell in animation how old characters are at times because sometimes you see them and you're like, oh, yeah, they're probably 20. And then it's like, oh, it's 14. No.
They're 3 to 5 years apart in the first season. So yeah, Powder is believed to be what? Okay, so Vi is estimated to be around 14 to 16 years old at the beginning of the series, and then Powder is actually estimated to be
10 or 11 then, right?
11 or 12.
Okay.
She seems so much more small than that.
I think that's the whole thing with Powder is that she's kind of a runt. Victor! I'm a Victor stan. You can fight me in the comments. I love Victor. I'm gonna defend him with my life.
I'm just vibing with the
Imagine Dragons.
my brain just short-circuited.
I love Imagine Dragons. I will hear no slander about them. I've seen them in concert 4 times.
We're almost there.
I was going to say, one of the main things about their ages too is that there is a time jump. There's a few time jumps in this first season alone. So figuring out what age they are, because this to me looks like Vi could be 16 and Powder could be 13. But this is years after the stuff on the bridge. So I don't know.
See, this makes sense because
Yeah,
she was
Powder
so.
looks like
See,
she could be
this makes
12
sense
now. Yeah.
Yeah. Beforehand, absolutely not.
Yeah. Because I don't know how many years it's been since the destruction on the bridge. So. All right, welcome to Piltover. This is Piltover. So this is kind of a what we would call steampunk in that it is a kind of amorphous like time frame, except it has really heavy technology but not modern. This is kind of a steampunk era, which is really cool. There's not a whole lot of shows like this. There's a few, but not a ton.
So I just looked, and it said before the time skip, as it is now, it's estimated that Vi is around 10, and then Powder is around like 6 or so. So we were correct in the beginning.
Okay, cool.
Couldn't we have at least just walked there?
Gotta stay out of sight for this one.
I love the art style for Arcane. I know everybody says that, but it deserves to be said. The art style and art direction of the show is unbelievable. It is so beautiful.
I remember it being everyone just freaking out about it as soon as the show was released. It was just like, oh my god, animation, the everything. Like it was just. I mean, it's very much understandable. I mean, just look at it.
And season 2, the bits that I've seen from season 2 are even more spectacular.
Thanks.
What if Vander finds out we're all the way up here?
Look around you. You think anyone topside's going hungry?
Vander's gonna kill us.
Yeah, only if we screw up. So don't screw up.
Easy enough.
Yeah, Vi sure got it.
Who locks their balcony?
Someone smart.
You gonna get that door open anytime soon?
Working on it.
You know,
Gosh, she's so real for that.
she's so real. A lot of gold in here.
Mm-hmm. Feeds into that steampunk.
Yes, it really does. And you hear the ticking in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Someone smarter than me. Anything on the board, is any of it accurate or is it all just made up bullshit for the show?
Must be an inventor.
Oh yeah? What about this?
That's a nose hair trimmer.
Someone pointed out perhaps the funniest thing. I think it's in this room. Oh, maybe it's in the other room. In the background of one of the shots, because I mean the art department for Arcane has said that there's not a single thing that, hasn't been thoroughly looked at. The fucking sandwiches. I know whose apartment this is, but I don't actually think you learn in this episode, so I am not going to say it. That is something you will learn in the next episode. Whoever's apartment this is, whoever's laboratory this is, just has raw sandwiches out on top of blueprints for no reason.
Yeah.
Not
Why
in the
not? I
apartment,
mean, it's
just made sandwiches and left them there. That shit cracks me up.
I mean, why buy plates when you can just use your blueprints? No, that's not.
Uh-oh.
That's not good. There it goes. just your typical everyday activities.
Mm-hmm.
Carry on.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Audience, I do want to include, I forgot to say this on the top, but Meg and I do tend to take notes while we watch. So if you do see her or I looking down, I promise we were just taking notes. I just wanted to throw that out there. I've always kind of wanted to do that.
You always wanted to do that?
Yeah, jump across a bridge as it's like lifting. Yeah.
I'd rather kill myself.
I think it looks cool.
It's cool. My dumbass would trip and I'd fall. I wouldn't make it. You could go.
Man, not again. I just got this shirt.
Look at the stuff on the lens to make it look like it's, you know, like a real camera. I love it.
I thought last time was the last time we were gonna do this.
Well, this time's the last time.
Guess what was that? What the hell happened back there?
Okay, Clagger asking the real fucking questions.
I will say this show, when I watched a bit of it before, I've never so badly in my life wanted to dye my hair in that moment because I really missed having vivid hair. So
I heard there was some action across the river. Someone really kicked the nest, huh?
Is that so?
How about you share a little taste of your treasure there, and we'll call it even.
Damn.
and she do that to my back.
Girl, I need you to crack my back expeditiously. Hot.
Ugh, queen.
This day's turning out all right after all.
Now, why would you fucking say that?
Want to see how that ends? Where's Powder?
Girl, Powder.
You did what?
I'm sorry. I tried to fight him off with Mauser, but she didn't work.
It's all right, Powder. At least you're okay.
I get my face bashed in and she just gets a pass?
Yep.
Oh, I love that. That's really cool.
Sick as fuck.
When I see stuff like this, it makes me want to live in like this world. But then I realized I would have like their life, and I'm like, I'm too weak for this. I can't do it.
Here's the titular song of this episode. Welcome to Zaun. This is the Undercity. Would you want to live in the Undercity or would you want to live in Piltover? That's the real question of this show.
I fear I would get my face pounded in if I lived in the lower city.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I think that was a Seth Rogen drop that we both missed. Seth Rogen, I think, is an executive producer on this show, and he, like a character that looks like him, shows up a couple of times throughout the show, and I think we just saw him coming out of a brothel.
God, I wish I had that life to where I could just be like, put me in the show.
This hairline.
This isn't what we agreed on, so...
Well, demand for your wares has dropped since we made our arrangements.
No. I can't do that.
I know this character's name, but I can't remember it off the top of my head.
You folks need anything? Leave us. You sure about that? Sounded to me like...
Piss off.
Wait. Who was that voice actor?
I'll look him up while you do. This is Vander, is the name of this character.
Bit of advice. Don't threaten the guy who pours the drinks.
Why does it kind of sound like Andy Serkis in a way, but
He does. It's not. You notice that the sound went out? I noticed that.
So you're Vander.
Hound of the Underground.
His name is JB Blanc. He was in Barry?
How about you just give Huck the rest of what you owe him?
Huck. That's
and I'll
that
let you
character's
walk
name.
out of
That's
here in
right.
one piece.
and what?
That character's name is Huck. Definitely inconspicuous, gang.
I don't suppose you can explain why it is that I'm hearing about an explosion and a foot chase topside?
That we can handle a real job.
A real job?
We got our own tip, planned a route, nobody even saw.
You blew up a building. Where did you even get this tip?
We just heard it at Benzo's shop.
From?
Little man.
We stay out of Piltover's business.
Why? They've got plenty while we're down here scraping together coins.
Sit down.
I'm fine.
Sit down.
I really like his voice. It's so smooth over my ears, like it's just like tickling my brain.
I want to just like listen to it on repeat just to put me to sleep every night.
When people look up to you, you don't get to be selfish.
I'm
You
not-
say run, they run. You say swim, they dive in. You say light a fire, they show up with oil. That path, this, it's not going to solve your problems. Just makes more of them. How'd you get this?
Some idiot was following us.
On our side? Oh, you did put that idiot on his arse, though, right?
Such a girl dad.
Hey, that's mine.
You want to be treated like adults, right? I think you should know better than to come back from a job empty-handed.
She's young.
Don't bullshit me. We're twice the person at half her age.
You know what, Milo? You're right. There's a bunch of things Powder just can't do.
I didn't mean to.
Powder's my problem, okay? Your problem is never knowing when to shut up. But I'm gonna help you with that. Ready? You see this look on my face? This will always mean it's time to shut up.
I love Vi.
Echo, what's going on with that thing?
Give me a few seconds. The cannon pinion's still busted.
Finish it later. Vander and I need a word.
I love Echo. He's so cute.
I assume you've heard.
Yeah, me and half the Undercity.
How could they be so stupid?
This facial hair is crazy.
Someone was following them.
Whole lot of someone's from what I heard.
Not enforcers. There's worse things than enforcers out there.
Look,
Aw.
I love him.
this weirdo came into the shop, bought a whole bunch of stuff Benzo only keeps there for display. He paid in gold and didn't even haggle.
But how did you know where he lived?
Followed him? How else?
Oh, right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. Go.
Evening, friends.
This voice actress has the craziest voice.
We're looking for the culprits.
Got a description?
Yeah, it's exactly who you're picturing in that thick head of yours.
Echo.
Don't mind the kid. Doesn't know when to pipe down.
This is how I imagine the cast members that operate like Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah.
Those who did this will be dealt with.
That workshop belonged to the Kermans. People need to feel safe.
Yeah, topside people.
We had a deal, Vander. If I don't put someone behind bars tonight, the next time I come down here, I'll have an army of enforcers with me.
But I can't offer up my own people.
Especially not my kids.
Yeah, seriously.
What are you calling this one?
Ooh, cool shot. Cool
That
framing.
was a cool shot. I like that.
I ruined everything. I always do.
Nobody said that.
No, just that you were twice the person at half my age.
I love this and all the city lights and everything.
Mm-hmm.
This is giving Mufasa and Simba.
Milo tripped over his own paint bucket and nearly fell off trying to draw a giant middle finger. When I was a kid, some guy took my favorite toy and threw it up there. I used to come out here at night, stare at it. We've all had bad days. But we learn. And we stick together.
That's so sweet.
These were in my pocket. They're from the apartment.
What are they?
To cause a fucking explosion.
I don't know.
I'm holding nuclear bombs.
Let's keep this our little secret. Milo's wrong, Powder. You're stronger than you think. And one day, this city's gonna respect us.
Is this the end of this episode? There's no way, right?
There's no way. Oh? Actually, it
Oh.
might be.
It feels like it. I was like, you haven't met this character yet. Okay.
Yeah.
This is what I was waiting for. I was like, wait, Damn second. You know he's a villain because he has an ugly hairless cat.
You were supposed to follow them and not interfere.
I'm sorry. It was their fault. The explosion in the upper city.
That was them. Vander's in trouble.
Cool.
I love it, and how like, oh, the colors and like the light and how it's just reflect. They did such a good job.
Everybody say, hey, Silco.
Feeding time.
Hey, quick warning for animal cruelty and animal death. Sorry we didn't throw it in the beginning. I forgot about it until about right now.
I can't watch this.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to watch it either.
Oh god.
I'll tell you when it's over.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot happening.
Tell me when it's over.
I will.
God.
It's over.
You have a subject in mind.
Someone just
Well, I'm guessing he's not a cat owner anymore.
That was the end? Oh, no! Anyway, all right, Meg, that was season 1, episode 1 of Arcane. Welcome to the playground. What did you think?
I thought it was really good. I did remember bits and pieces of this episode, which is cool, but I thought there was more to this episode. I guess, you know, after you haven't seen something for so long, it all just goes into your brain at once and you're like, oh, I guess that's later. I think it's the next episode I'm thinking of. But overall, very good. Very, very good. I remember really liking the show, and that has been I almost said
Cemented,
resurrected.
solidified. Resurrected's not terrible. Not the
Not
worst.
terrible. Not the worst, but not what I'm looking for. But you get the vibe. What about you, Allie?
I do. I really like this episode. I like the second episode more because the second episode deals more with some more characters that we will meet coming up shortly. I prefer the second episode just because I think I've seen that one a bit more. Like I'm familiar with this one. I mean, you have to understand like pilots are so difficult, right? Because there's two different mindsets in Hollywood and in film and TV. The mindset, the first one is that the pilot has to be the best episode of the show. Then there's my mindset and the mindset of others, which is that's bullshit because if the first episode is the best, why keep watching, right? The pilot episode has to hook you. It has to be interesting enough, and it also has to set up the entire story. And it does the hard task of setting up the entire world. So there's a lot of information thrown at you in this. And I have the benefit of having seen this show before and having, like, I know all the characters' names because I guarantee you the only names that I would have caught were Powder, Vander, maybe Grayson. Those might have been, and maybe Milo, because the other names of the characters are not said as often. And I knew the world. I'm familiar with the Undercity and with Piltover, and I'm familiar with like the general tone of the story. So thankfully, I have all the information that I need to fully like understand it. But understandably, this could be a hard show, I think, to dive into because it is so different than anything else that's on TV right now. So that's just my personal thought on this. But I think in terms of a pilot, it sets up this show very, very nicely, especially knowing how this season plays out.
Yeah, I would say so from what I remember.
I took a whole page of notes, but most of them are just things to mention. So Meg, why don't we run through your notes first since you are a little bit less familiar with Arcane than I am, and then I can fill in the blanks as we go.
Works for me. I made a note saying that actually I thought lighting and animation is so interesting to me.
Yep.
I've always been really fascinated by it and the cinematography aspect as well, being able to how, you know, with people and everything like that, you're like, oh, blocking actors. Here you go, make this work. Some cinematographers light the room. The actors will just walk through it and they'll make it work for that. Or you have the ones where they want a more of like pretty look. And so then they set the lighting for the subjects for that shot. With animation, it's so different because you create the characters almost, I guess you can plan the lighting and everything afterwards, but it's just so much different than working with actual people. So I've always been very much intrigued by it. And I love how they do it in this show. I think it's actually very fantastic, a very great use of it, and how it helps create a very rich environment, which I really liked.
100% agree.
So yeah, I wrote that, you know, we meet I and Powder and the rest of the group. Vander is a father figure to all of these kids. they heard about the job from Little Man, who clearly is an unreliable or sketchy source due to being Vander's reaction. Um, of course, the show is based off of League of Legends, and Vi doesn't like authority. And I just really love how they're able to take the characters, like they seem to capture their personality so well, which is fantastic because I feel like League fans would be extremely pissed off if they did not accurately carry over their personalities.
It's so interesting that you say that. I'll circle back to that later.
Weren't some people kind of mad?
They were super mad about a few characters who we have not met yet, based on what I understand. Let me throw this out there. I've never played League of Legends. I know people who play League of Legends, but I am not involved in that sphere at all. Everything that I know is from a critique of League fans who have watched Arcane after the fact and talked about it. Specifically with the characters of Jace and Victor, I know a lot of people were like on the fence about the
Mhm.
personification of those two characters, specifically Victor. Victor's a character that we're going to meet in the next episode. He is probably my favorite character in the whole show. I love Victor. I really like him. But in League of Legends, Victor, from what I understand, this could be wrong, is a character known as the Machine Herald, and he is a robot. And when you meet Victor, he's very
Mm,
much a 24-year-old college student.
yes.
So he's a
They
human.
changed that a lot.
Yes, I mean, not that Victor doesn't get there eventually. They definitely took some liberties. I mean, one of the big things that, from what I understand, you'll meet a character named Jace Talus in the next episode. In League, his name is Jace Giapara. So they completely changed his name. So there's little tiny things that have been moved around for
Mhm.
like narrative purposes, but for the most part, I think the characters that I mean, I Jace and Victor do very much matter, but I think Vi is obviously our protagonist in this story.
Yes.
They really had to do her justice. Her and Powder Jinx.
Powder Jinx, yeah, makes me very sad because I actually wrote a note here about that where due to the I know it's like future episodes, but like with
Yeah.
what happens between Vi and Powder, it sends Powder Jinx onto the path that she continues to go on. And it makes me very sad because if that did not happen, or if one thing happened just a few minutes earlier, that the whole trajectory of her life would be very different.
Yeah.
And that depresses me knowing how she ends up because I do know how she ends up, which is very heartbreaking. Not in the show though, but I know how she ends how she is in the game.
I know Powder's fate. I know what happens to Powder at the end of season 2. So I know her most of her arc from what I understand. But yeah, I mean that's the one thing about shows that span so much time. We hinted at this earlier in our discussion, but the next episode is kind of going to do a little bit of a time rewind. We're going to go back to stuff that happened in this episode, see it from some different perspectives, which will be really fun. But then in episode 3, there's like a 7-year time jump. So there's that. I'm pretty sure it's episode 3. It might be episode 4. But there is, in this season alone, like I think 7 or 8 years passes. Like there's a big time jump. And because we've already had a time jump in this episode, we talked about this earlier with the ages of Powder and Vi, right? You meet these characters at such different points in their life and you see the moment that they become who they are at the end of the show, which is not often. A lot of times in stories, when you have a more condensed story, in that you're only doing 2 seasons of a show or you're only doing 18 episodes or whatever, when you have shorter stories like that, sometimes the more character building moments have to happen off screen, and then those are things that are revealed slowly over time. Not the case in Arcane. They're going to tell you and show you what the fuck happened, which is fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I like it because it kind of like instead of just being like off screen, especially people who don't know anything.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very nice. I appreciate it. So the enforcers came by the shop, and what's really interesting is that when they're in the lower city, they're wearing masks. People who live down there do
Yes.
not wear the mask, so it kind of shows that difference of, I guess, I don't want to say filth, but like they're thinking like they're like toxic air down there or anything. It's just it shows the difference between the quality of life
Yes, 100% it does. And that is a point of clarification that comes up later in the show as well, specifically with the air in the Undercity. That's cool that you caught that because I totally because I know about that plot line, it just went completely over my head. I didn't even clock it. It wasn't until you were like, "Yeah, they were wearing masks." I was like, "Oh, shit, they were, weren't they?" Didn't even
I'll
think
take
about
this
it.
win. I'll
Yes,
take
take it.
this the
Take
one
it, Meg.
win I'll get from um, yeah, that was what I had for my notes.
Cool. So obviously we met Powder and Vi. Meg already talked about that. The names of some of the other characters, we know Milo and Clagger, who are the other two kids that kind of fall under Vander's little bubble. Milo is the kind of loudmouth, runs his mouth, the tall, skinny one with the fucked up do. And then Clagger is the larger fellow who is a bit more gentle, a bit more sweet. He accompanies Vander later to Benzo's shop where we meet Little Man, otherwise known as Echo, who is a favorite of mine. I really like Echo. And I have some notes on Echo that we'll get to later. And then we met Sheriff Grayson from Piltover. She's a Piltover enforcer, and her underling, Marcus. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but this is a steampunk world, which is very different. One of the tried and trues of steampunk is the use of like over mechanized items. So you have airships, but they're not like sleek and robust. They are a little clunky looking, and there's a lot of gears and pipes and steam. Talking about air quality, getting back into it. This is a true steampunk world, which I really, really, really enjoy because you don't really get a lot of it in modern stuff. You either get like medieval or modern or hyper medieval. Like it's not a very common area or focus to set your story in. I really enjoy it. I think it's really cool, and I think it fits this world very well. We had the big thing that happened this episode. We had Vi, Powder, Milo, and Clagger robbing the workshop in Piltover, which is the catalyst or the inciting incident. We talked about this in our Andor series. For those of you who did not watch Andor with us, the inciting incident in a story is the moment where the story kickstarts. So when you think about something like Harry Potter, it's when Harry talks to the snake because it's like, whoa, what the fuck was that, right? Kind of lets the audience and the characters know that they are dealing with something a little bit unusual, a little bit different. And then we go more into the hero's journey. The stealing of the arcane gemstones from that workshop in Piltover is the catalyst, the inciting incident for the overall story of Arcane. We're going to go into that again a little bit more in episode 2, so I won't say too much about it.
What you're saying is that Powder, when she gains her nickname Jinx, she did jinx this. This was all her fault for taking those gemstones.
This entire show is Powder's fault. Actually, no, it's not. It's the person whose workshop that is. It's that person's fault. And I have a lot of opinions about that because there's a lot of controversy in the Arcane fandom about who is like the most important character in the show. I'm going to say this now. A lot of people think Vi and Powder are the most important characters in the show. You are incorrect. That is simply not correct. The most important character in this show is Jace Talus. He's the most important character in this show. This is Jace's workshop. Spoiler alert. We're going to learn about Jace next episode. I won't get too much into him, but without Jace Talus, there is no show.
Well, because think about it. If it's only good that exists, or neutral, then a day just kind of goes on day by day by day. But if you throw a little spice in there, a little thing to shake it up.
This is a big ensemble show. There are a lot of characters in the show, and there are a lot of characters that do a lot of very important things in the show. Powder is one of the most important characters in the show. Jace is probably the most important character in the show. Victor, who we'll meet next episode, is very important as well. Vi, in the overall narrative structure, I do not think is considered important, but she is one of the main protagonists of the show, if not the protagonist of the show, which just means that we are experiencing this world mostly from her perspective, but that's going to change. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, back to my notes. We have the two worlds that we're dealing with here. We have the Undercity, which is called Zaun, which I don't think we actually heard it introduced as Zaun in this episode.
I don't think so.
It's mainly referred to as the Undercity. Zaun is more of the official name for it, but like the Undercity is like the colloquial name for it. And I think that's what all of the Zaunites refer to the city as. And then you have the upper city, which is Piltover. In Zaun, you're kind of dealing with survival of the fittest down there, which is really cool. We noticed that Vi and all of them took an elevator down. It is literally an undercity. It is under Piltover, lower than it, which I mean, in terms of like telling you something, like they could not put it more in your face of like, hey, you have this beautiful golden clean city and here are the people beneath them. Like it could not be more transparent what this show is talking about. This show is about class dynamics and it's going to get way worse before it gets better, and then it doesn't get better, it just gets more worse later on. We met Vander at the Last Drop. That's the name of his bar that he owns, and he is the bar owner, but also kind of seems to be like an unofficial leader for the Undercity. We learned in this episode that he has a deal currently active with Sheriff Grayson of Piltover, in which Piltover does not meddle in the Undercity's business so long as Vander keeps people from the Undercity out of Piltover, which is very interesting that they have this kind of backhanded, underhanded deal going.
You stole the words right out of my mouth too, but it also kind of carries over into how, some people are, and even our society, where things kind of go a little bit under the table.
I have no idea what you're referring to.
I don't either. Let me just I do, but for legal reasons, I don't.
We learned about a character named Little Man who is Echo. His name is Echo. He works in Benzo's shop. Echo found Jace Talus's lab because Jace came to the Undercity and bought supplies from Benzo's shop. And Echo made a joke that Jace paid in gold and didn't haggle, which I just find very funny because that's going to come up later. And so Echo found out about this, saw this guy with all this money, all this coin. He flashed it in the wrong place. Echo followed him back to Piltover, came back and reported to Vi and all them, hey, there's this really rich dude back in Piltover. You should go see what he's working on. And that's how we got the beginnings of this heist that they were kind of doing, which is very fun. I wrote a quote from Vander down in which Vander said, there are worse things than enforcers out there, which was a little hint at the mystery man that we met at the end of this episode, Mr. Silco. We also found that this character, Silco, paid Deckard, who was the little blonde twerp that Vi beat up, paid him to follow the kids, I think is what happened. He paid him to follow. I really think he was paying him to follow Vander, but he ended up following Vi and all of them and then got his ass beat. So there was all that. I'll have to check back in with that. I'm not 100% sure. That's what I thought I heard, but I could be wrong. And then another thing that was brought up that Vander learned from Grayson was that the workshop belonged to the Kiramans, which we don't know anything about at this current moment, but the workshop that Jace was in belonged to the Kiramans, and that the council needs someone to blame. So we know that there is some sort of ruling council in Piltover, the Piltover Council. I have two other notes really quick. One was on Vi and Powder's relationship. I think this show is perhaps one of the best examples of sibling dynamics, especially between an older sibling and a younger sibling. I myself do not have siblings, so if that's completely off base, take it from the fact that I'm an only child.
I have 5.
Meg's got 5. Meg, what do you think about their dynamic as a sister?
I think it's actually really accurate, but it also shows that Vi has really stepped into the role of being almost like the parent to Powder. So I think Vi is that classic older sibling who has definitely taken on that parental role. And I mean, granted, yeah, there's a reason why. And she had to grow up too fast. And she kind of still, you can tell that she wants Powder to kind of keep some of that, maybe that innocence and not feel as bad. And, because she had to grow up so fast to where you're almost too protective of the sibling below you because you want to protect them from the world that you had to experience. So you just try to hold on to that as much as you can. And she probably had a lot of hardships, and that's why she probably feels a lot for Powder. I mean, like, it's not your fault. Like, you're okay. When clearly these things are Powder's fault, but I think that's also a fault on Vi for not really calling her out for those things. I think it's overprotective to the point of where it's harmful to Powder. I have step siblings and blood related siblings. I was the youngest, and then I became the middle child, and then I saw younger siblings grow up as well. So I did kind of step into more of like a guiding role when I became an older sibling. And I can definitely see that with Vi and Powder as well, just being like, I want to shield you from this because it's messed up and I want you to be happy and still not have to grow up like I had to.
I agree with everything you said. And like I said, I don't have any siblings, but all of my friends have siblings. I think I have maybe one or two friends out of everyone I've ever been friends with that's also an only sibling. All of my friends have siblings. And especially a lot of my friends that have significant age gaps. Like one of my best friends growing up, her younger brother was like 7 years younger than her. And her older sister was like 8 years older than her. So the dynamics of their group were very, very, very different, like in their family, to the point where it was like they spoke different languages to each other. The age gap was so big, like what do they talk about, you know?
My youngest sibling and I are 8 years apart, and I've been in her life since she was 6, 5 or 6 years old. So I've basically been in her life for longer than she remember, like, as long as she knows. And there is kind of like those moments where it's like, is there a lot to talk about? But I think it differs with like every sibling too, is that her and I have actually a lot to talk about. But my other sibling and I, who are actually like a few years apart, we don't talk about much. It's very strange.
The dynamic between Powder and Vi is so fascinating because it's so clear that they have to grow up together. We see their mother, who is passed, on the bridge during the riot or whatever was going on in that very, very, very opening scene. No dialogue in that scene. We didn't even talk about that. There was no dialogue in that scene. It was just music and just animation, which is gorgeous. Love it, as always.
Powder singing in a very ominous way.
Yes, Powder's very creepy singing while people are
Don't like it.
dying. And so we know that for the last couple years of their life, they've grown up with this like pseudo father figure in Vander. So they've had a parental figure who is not actually biologically related to them for the last handful of years, at least 3 or 4 years, it seems. And Vi has been doing her best to step up to take care of her younger sister. And because of that, it gives her a very maternal role in their dynamic, but it also I think you were totally right in that she's coddling Powder too much because the
Mhm.
problem is that it's okay to make mistakes, but you have to learn from them to be able to not make them in the future. And what Vi is doing is excusing the mistakes, and Powder does not know how to deal with the emotional ramifications of failure. The last note that I had here on my notes list was I liked the different colors in Zaun and Piltover. I love the difference, like the visual difference between the like color sphere of those two worlds, which is really fun. I mean, even when you look at characters that you saw in Piltover, I don't know how many you would have noticed, but a lot of the characters had fairly normal hair colors, so blonde, brown, black, things like that. And then you have Vi and Powder who have pink and blue hair. So I like that there is a sort of divide in between the kind of more of your neutral slash wearable color palettes versus the more eclectic and odd colors that you have in the Undercity. I think that's really fascinating. Those are all of my notes. Meg, did you have anything else you wanted to quickly discuss?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, this is just a fantastic show, and I'm so glad that we chose to do this one. And yeah, I am very much looking forward to continuing on this series.
Me too. All right, guys, so we're going to wrap up here, I think. You guys can check us out in our further Arcane reactions, which will be coming out on Fridays. If you're interested in other stuff that Meg and I have done, we have completed our Andor series. Season 1 and Season 2 are both available on our channel. We are also doing The Legend of Vox Machina on Mondays and Wednesdays, which, if you've seen our Andor reactions, we originally said they were going to come out on Mondays only. We're doing Mondays and Wednesdays now. But with that, we will conclude the reaction here for Season 1, Episode 1. We will see you guys in Season 1, Episode 2 of Arcane, and potentially in Vox Machina if you guys continue to come along with us.
Come and join us.
Yes, definitely. Come. Welcome to the playground. Welcome to the playground. Come join us. Come hang out with us. We're having a blast. I'm so excited to watch the next episode.
Me too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.